All right, AP students, so I just wanted to go over the last prompt that I didn't annotate yesterday. For this one, I'm not going to give you examples. Instead, I'm just going to go through the prompt and kind of break it down because I think it's a little bit more challenging than the other two prompts. And this one you actually, later this week, are going to be sharing and discussing in sort of a virtual way some of your ideas for how you would answer this prompt. So go ahead and start brainstorming your ideas if you haven't already, and those of you who have, I'm already looking through them, so I'll have some feedback for you soon. Okay, so just a reminder, this is the 2008 prompt, so this is the one that's the last one in the packet that you should be working on that's due Wednesday. So read the following excerpt from The Decline of Radicalism, which is published in 1969, so again we have a little bit more of a recent one, by Daniel J. Boorstin, and consider the implications of the distinction Boorstin makes between dissent and disagreement. So we know we have dissent and disagreement on our two sort of big terms, and we know that we're looking at the distinction that our author makes between them. Distinction here meaning what is the difference, right? How are they different? Okay. Then, using appropriate evidence, write a carefully reasoned essay in which you defend, challenge, or qualify Boorstin's distinction. So, now we have our quotation. Remember, we're deciding, are we going to defend, challenge, or qualify, like whether or not they are different. So, we need to be looking for the two ways that they are different. Are they similar in any way? Like, what's going on here? So, first we have dissent. So, dissent, all right, number one, is the great problem of America today. Right? The great problem. So clearly dissent is going to be more of a negative thing. It overshadows all others. It is a symptom, an expression, a consequence, and a cause of all others. So this is like the big problem, right? It overshadows the other ones. It's a symptom. It causes all of the other ones. So dissent is a major problem. I'd say dissent and not disagreement. And it is the distinction between dissent and disagreement which I really want to make. Disagreement, so we have our second one here, produces debate, but dissent produces dissension. Well, now that's kind of redundant, right? But we have disagreement produces debate, right? And dissent produces dissension. Dissent, okay, so again we have number one, which comes from the Latin dis and sentire, means originally to feel apart from others. Okay, so there's this idea of like separation. Okay, dissent equals separate. People who disagree have an argument, but people who dissent have a quarrel. So this is a great example of where connotations of different words can come in, right? We typically look at an argument, even though it's not always positive, like we talk about arguments and we analyze people's arguments. So that's definitely more positive than something like quarrel, right? A quarrel is like you're kind of fighting, it may be a little petty, that kind of thing. Okay? People may disagree and both may count themselves in the majority, but a person who dissents is by definition in a minority. So this is kind of like very sort of theoretical and abstract. This is where I think he kind of gets a little bit more difficult in what he's trying to say. So people who may disagree may both count themselves in a majority, but a person who dissents is by definition in a minority. That's coming from this idea up here where he says that this term means to feel apart. Okay, so a liberal society thrives on disagreement but is killed by dissension. Disagreement is the lifeblood of democracy. Dissension is its cancer. Wow, that's pretty intense. This guy has some very strong feelings about that. So to sum up, there's a saying that dissent, some of the associations with this word are, obviously, it's very negative. Okay? We know that it's harmful, right? There's words like killed and cancer, right? Those kinds of words there. And we know that it has this idea of separation. Versus something like disagreement, which is positive, which is healthy, right? It's the lifeblood of democracy. And it is productive, right? It produces debate. And we, especially in this country, see that as a very good thing. So your question here, remember you always want to look at the implied question, is do you agree with this distinction? So do you think they are two different things? Or do you think that dissension is negative and disagreement is positive? Right? So that's two sort of different questions. So the first question is, one, are they different? Like just from the get-go? Are they two different things? And or, you don't necessarily have to answer both of these questions, but and or is one positive and one negative, right? So that's the question that you're answering, or those are the two questions that you would be answering in this prompt. So I look forward to hearing from you all and seeing what your brainstorming is. Let me know if you have any questions.